Hi, I'm Dr. Mike.
And I'm Nick.
And this is NFGeeks. All right, Nick, welcome to NFGeeks as usual.
Of course.
Yeah.
As usual.
Yeah. So this episode is a big one. It's huge. It's gigantic.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And that's because we're going to talk about something that's rather controversial in the personality type world.
I'd say
so. And it's about the Enneagram. And this has been the official position of NFGeeks and me. Mm-hmm. So here it is. I'm going to lay it out, and that is that I believe, and we've talked about this, so we're kind of in agreement.
I totally agree.
Yes, so we agree as NF Geeks.
Yeah.
Is that that it's impossible for any type to have any MBTI type to have any number. Okay, that you can have a total mix, so that you can be an ISTJ and be any of the numbers from 1 through 9. And this is the opinion, the world according to Dr. Mike, but I think that's ludicrous. Okay.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
Yes. And the only thing I'll say is I think a lot of MBTI types can fit into a lot of Enneagram types.
Yes, that's true.
But
yes.
No, I don't think that that INFP can be any type.
Right.
Right. Or something like that.
I agree. There's clusters. Okay.
Yeah.
And a type can be in more than one number.
Yeah.
They might even be in 3 numbers. But a type can't be in all 9 because it's incompatible. Because each number may be incompatible with the type or the temperament, or just being introverted, extroverted. It runs contrary. Being an extroverted MBTI type runs contrary to a specific number. So you can't have both at the same time. You can't have like a ton of traits as your dominant traits.
Yeah,
in personality
I
type.
think there's leeway within it, but only to an extent.
Yes.
Which we'll lay out, exactly what it is.
That's right.
But what do you think is what do you think is like the biggest cause of this confusion?
I think that the biggest cause is something I've talked about before, and I think this is the case with everything in personality type, and that is people are not informed enough. Everyone thinks they're a lot smarter at this than they actually are, and that honestly, personality typology exists on a hobbyist level at best. And then when it's really good, it exists on a business level, but that's only if you have practitioners acting on it, and that doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But I think people do not understand type well enough, MBTI type well enough, and they don't understand the Enneagram well enough.
Yeah.
Okay, and how these two fit together, because again, this is existing on this hobbyist level. And I think that also relates to the other mistake, and I've talked about this, ad nauseum, is that people are mistaking type for identity, and so they're using type, and they're thinking type is more malleable and shaping, easier to shape than it actually is, because they want to create a certain identity for themselves. So if I can be a 4, if I can be an INTP 4, okay, now I've got the full range of being an NT and an NF at the same time, and I don't have to I can be both things that I want to be, and really you can't, you can't do that.
I think the two things that happen with people is. One thing is kind of going off what you said, is that people don't have enough knowledge about it.
No.
For instance, what I've seen a lot, just in the MBTI community, the type community, is that say a type will a person will get mistaken for what type they want to be versus what they are. But I think what I see more is some people think. They actually truly do think they are a type.
A number or an Enneagram number or MBTI?
Both MBTI and Enneagram, but specifically Enneagram. I think they truly do believe that they are a type versus what type they actually are.
Oh, well, that happens in
it's
MBTI
my belief,
too. Yeah,
it's my
absolutely.
belief and a lot of other experts. Not that I'm an expert. A lot of
it's not that they're experts.
Yeah, but the point is Enneagram experts, but my opinion is that you're born with both your MBTI type and your Enneagram type.
Yeah, I would say that's true.
And no matter what happens through life, that's not going to really change.
No, and I agree. And I think one of the things that also leads to this too, and it's my pet peeves as well, so it's all coming up, is self-typing. Okay, self-typing is one of the things here.
Yeah.
But also people typing each other who are not it's either trained well enough or informed well enough to do the typing. I mean, I think both those things combined make a mess. I mean, it makes a mess of MBTI just by itself. Makes MBTI a goddamn mess. And now so you have this one mess. Now you take the Enneagram mess. Now you get a big garbage pile.
Yeah. The only other thing that I want to say too is that the big lack of knowledge that I've seen in the type community is that what happens is they only look at the description of Enneagram types. The name that they give the Enneagram types, and they might venture into points of integration and disintegration, but I don't think that they're really getting into object relations. I don't think that they're getting into interaction styles, which every single Enneagram type has many different facets of it. It's not just the description, the name of it. There's all kinds of different ways. Kind of like how you break down an MBTI type and you have cognitive functions and temperament and all that stuff. You can break an Enneagram type down the same way. Each Enneagram type interacts with the world a certain way. Each one relates to objects a certain way. Each type integrates and disintegrates to other types. And you really got to get into the nuts and bolts, which I think people think it's too loosey-goosey, but when you really, dig into it, you'll understand that there are actually nuts and bolts and specific types. Well, when you fully encapsulate everything,
it's actually the
types.
typing itself that is loosey-goosey because there's no inventory, there's no nothing. You can just swim around, and it's not so much the idea. I would say the same thing's true about MBTI, that the idea is very solid. It's the typing process that messes people up because people want to do the official one, but there isn't even an official one for 9, and so that's what makes it hard.
I don't believe
you end up in a sea of types because there's nothing to help you. There's no compass.
I don't believe in the testing for. There's no official inventory in Enneagram. I think the best way to do it is to really take time with it, and I mean, unlike MBTI, it's not about your preference or your strengths. It's really about kind of the negative aspects of yourself.
All right.
And I think the best way for people to get their type right is to spend time with each Enneagram type's motivations, fears, derailers. Really look into those because each type has one, and that's.
Let's all right. Well, let's get into each of the numbers then, and which types they are. Because when I really got onto this, and when I discovered the ludicrousness of this idea, and if you've been on the forum, you know I feel this way, and you also know that people get mad at me about this, and they're going to be mad at me now, and I don't care because I don't know why this seems to be ludicrous. Again, ludicrous to me, and it really is the 4-5 NF-NT thing that goes on. Which is so there's two versions of it. The NF version is I'm an INFP 5 wing 4, and then the other version is I'm an INTP 4 wing 5.
No.
And my position is that no, one is wrong. Okay, one of those is wrong. You're probably, if you're saying you're an INTP 4 wing 5, you're probably an INFP 4 wing 5. And if you're an INTP, if you're the other way around, if you're an INFP 5 wing 4, you're probably an INTP. You know what I mean? Like you've got it mixed up. And that's what really made me feel like, okay, this is bonkers. You can't just be any of these types. It doesn't seem seems incompatible.
Usually, a person will either strongly relate to an MBTI type, or strongly relate to an Enneagram type. And I think I see a lot more NFs thinking that they're 5s than NTs thinking that they're 4s.
Yeah, the only NT that thinks they're 4 is INTP. I think they're desperate to be 4s. I've never seen any of the other NTs. Like INTJ kind of knows we're not a 4.
See, the thing is, I see the big thing with 5 is that because Enneagram 5, within the description, it's about being intellectual, being insightful, gaining knowledge. I mean, almost every intuitive type, and I mean, almost every person at some level wants to be smart and wants to be knowledgeable. But those types specific, type 5 is really, when you really get down to it, it's a withdrawn type that really has a desire to detach and to get information from a very
detached, objective. You know what I mean?
Very objective, clear,
separated out
approach. Which I mean, I just don't see any NF really going to that place.
It's almost like a Tina's envy thing going on.
I think it is. Yeah.
And it's also the mistake. Like, well, I do understand smart stuff. But that's not. and you could be a 4-wing 5.
Yeah, I think
you
it's
can
a
still
wing.
have it
Yeah, you can
as
still
a
have the
wing.
wing. Yeah.
But it's not going to be your primary thing. And I think another mistake I think happens with this is that people cannot tell the difference between what they are and what they want, and assuming that what they want is what they are. So, for example,
Yeah.
I'll give my own personal example. Now, 4, I'm an NF. I love everything in 4. There isn't anything in 4 I don't love. It's my whole world, right? NFGeeks might as well just be 4 geeks. You know what I mean? I love it. But, when I was thinking about myself, there's nothing in 4 I actually do. There's everything in 4 is stuff that I love, and I love people who are 4s. I mean, believe me, I think every girlfriend I've ever had is a 4. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I love 4, but I am not 4. And I am not that number. And I think what happens is people start thinking they are the number that they wish they had in their lives.
Yeah.
NFs wishing that they were smart or not feeling that they're smart enough, wanting to be 5s. INTPs wishing that they had that depth of feeling that they crave so much, Or INFPs wanting to be 9s. INFPs are not particularly stable. Okay,
Yeah.
not to mean I don't mean crazy, but I mean they're all over the place. They do things.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't have that calmness. They want it, but they don't have it.
No, it's funny you said that about INFP 9s. I mean, I think INFJ is a good 9
Yes.
type, but me personally, I had a similar situation where I thought I was a 9 for a while, but I mean, when I really break it down, I'm not. I think you can agree with
Yeah, you don't seem very tranquil at all.
No.
There's nothing tranquil. That doesn't mean you're all over the place.
It doesn't mean, yeah.
Right, but you're not tranquil.
No,
You're not
I'm
one of those tranquil INFJs.
I thought I was, but I
floating
just,
on a cloud. The way those
No,
INFJs.
yeah.
I've met those.
Yeah, I mean, the type I relate to the best is 4 with a 3 wing.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. I mean, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what it is. And I think the bad and the ugly are really what people have to focus on in terms of really getting what their type is.
Yes. And again, and that's a good point, because it's not that a type can only be one number.
Mm-hmm.
A type can be found in several numbers, but not every number. That's our point.
Let's
right?
go into them.
Yeah, let's go through the list before we run out of time.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go quick. So 1, let's start off with number 1.
Yep.
1, type 1 seems very SJ to me. It doesn't mean it's only SJ, but I'm pretty sure all the SJs can be a 1.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
there's no SJ that can't be a 1.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I think to me, when I think 1 and everything it encapsulates, I think it's really about SJs and types that have TJ.
Yes, and also this is what I mean that you can't be in all types. I don't see how a perceiver could be a 1.
No.
Like, how could I be a 1? Like, I can't be a 1.
No,
It's impossible.
ENFP
Okay,
cannot be 1.
Right. It's crazy. I can't even have rules long enough for 5 minutes on the forum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't even get that organized, let alone, have it as my primary thing. That's what we're saying. It seems ridiculous to think that. All right, so 2 seems very extroverted to me, and very feeling to me. And I could see myself as a 2, in my more pathetic moments. Love me, why doesn't anybody love me? That's I don't love me. That's I can see ENFP as a 2. That makes sense to me, but I don't see INTJ as a 2.
For me, I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That seems crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I see ENFPs being 2s,
Yes.
ENFJs definitely being 2s. And
Feelers.
Then all the SFs.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as much as a lot of people think, I don't see INFJ or INFP being 2s.
No, I don't. You know why? Because they're not desperate to be loved back.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're desperate to be loved, but they're not like.
Yeah.
They're not playing that game. Like, here's this thing, now love me back.
Well,
like ENFPs do that.
2 is called the helper.
Yes.
And where I can be a helpful person.
Yes, there's an important difference.
I don't live the life of a
and that's
helper.
interesting. Maybe I am a 2, because what just happened in between making these videos is I actually teach in this room. One of my students came in out of the blue, right? And I stopped everything.
Sure.
I went outside. I dealt with him for a while. I was in teacher mode. All of a sudden, I was, I wasn't NFGeeks anymore. Yeah. I was like, really. I came back in. I said, "So, see, Nick, look, I really work here."
And I'm a 4 because I went to the piano. And played while you were doing that.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah. So I could get the helper, but F's, extroversion and F feelers, seem very 2.